So there was something that happened today.
We have a lot of non-believers in our audience here.
Hello and welcome to TUESDAY NEWSDAY, your #1 resource for the entire week's worth of VR news. So I delayed this week's video to hopefully get a quick scoop on some PlayStation VR news from this recent state of play, and unfortunately not much came from that. Hold up, future Thrill here, we do actually have some huge PSVR 2 news that we'll talk about. Okay, back to you, past Thrill. Meta is finally adding legs to their VR social apps. The Quest 2 is about to receive another pretty awesome update, and hilariously, the Quest Pro was leaked all over the internet, leading to a relatively viral week for the Quest. Plus, much more from Valve and Pico, and this open source VR headset. We've got a lot to cover, so let's just get right into the news. So I'm gonna start this one off with a quick plug of something that I've been working on for a long time. Project SCHISM. SCHISM is a VR venue within VR chat where we hold bi-weekly live music events, where hundreds come together to dance, hang out, talk VR, and in general just connect. And we're having our 5th event this Saturday. It's totally free, Quest compatible, and just loads of fun. It's something I wanted to make for the community to enjoy VR to the fullest, so join in. And I'll also be at TwitchCon this year in October and hosting a massive VR community meetup in San Diego available for everyone to come. So whether you're interested in SCHISM or the in-person VR meetup party, both links will be down below in the description to check out after this video, of course. Hopefully I'll get to see you either virtually or even physically, and I'll also be DJing at this live event in San Diego, so if you want to catch a little bit of Thrill tunes and pick up some exclusive merch, come on by. But now let's talk about some juicy VR updates. A while ago, I mentioned a brand new headset from VRgineers and Somnium Space. VRgineers being the company that makes the truly insane X-Tall super wide field of view VR headset. But this thing isn't just any headset. This is the Somnium Vr1, a truly open source modern VR headset platform boasting some pretty incredible specs. In this package is an XR2 processor, 8GB of RAM, Wi-Fi 6E, dual 2880 by 2880 resolution displays, inside out and SteamVR Lighthouse tracking support, and 3 USB ports for really anything you want to add. But one of the best parts is an SD card slot for storage expansion, something I wish more headsets had. And the whole idea went a little dark, until recently that is, when the two companies announced a partnership with a 3D printer manufacturer, Prusa, to make this all happen. And the goals of all three companies are pretty exciting. They want to build a platform where anyone can build a good modern VR headset, print the parts they need, and change the parts they don't need on a totally open source platform down to even the operating system. And I'm liking how they're talking about it. Quote, each user deserves to fully own the hardware they buy and be able to customize, repair, and enhance it at any time. We would like to provide an unrestricted hardware and software environment to all VR enthusiasts around the world, end quote. In general, I'm just super excited about this. Not sure it'll ever be my main headset, but the idea of this even happening is good for everyone, and it's just kind of cool. The only concern I have is one of the companies, Somnium Space, which is an open source metaverse platform based on blockchain and NFTs, but I'm not really hating it as much as I'm impartial to it. I still have a lot more to learn about their plans before I go on and hate something. It's just something I wanted to note. I'm just not a huge fan of virtual false scarcity, but like I said, I gotta learn more before I make a stance. This recent state of play from PlayStation initially seemed to be pretty mid, with just a few announcements that 2 games would be coming at launch, those being Demeo and Star Wars Tales from Galaxy's Edge, which is nothing new for people already in VR. But on the positive side, a whole new demographic will get to enjoy them, which is awesome. And I thought that was it, but turns out a bunch of press got to try out the PSVR 2 and record it, which is amazing. We now have in-person accounts of the new headset, and it's looking to be really good. 4K HDR OLED panels, around 110 degrees field of view, haptic DualSense triggers and controllers, and up to 120Hz refresh rate on those displays. This is really the first time we've gotten to see the PSVR 2 out in the wild and on people's faces, so it was definitely worth a mention. And I did actually get to try out a PSVR 2 not too long ago, but this was a very behind closed doors thing and it was not official, but personally, I loved the headset. So I can't wait to finally do more with the PSVR 2 on the channel. It's really like index quality gameplay, but not on a PC. Maybe even in some ways a little better, and in some ways a little worse. So I do really hope that this headset has the capability to connect to a PC, and if it doesn't, I'm sure someone will figure out a way like they did with the original PSVR, and we still don't know the price or actual release date, but early 2023 is still the window. The Quest 2 is getting a much requested update pretty soon to enable 120Hz refresh rate as the default setting. Previously, this was an experimental feature that you had to manually enable, but John Carmack, consulting CTO of Oculus, which by the way, according to him, he's still the CTO of Oculus VR, not Meta, which I found funny, but he announced that this feature would in fact be coming. This, for example, would make it so any app playing video at 60 FPS will automatically have the displays ramp up to 120Hz. This will also likely affect other apps that have the ability to run at higher frame rates as well, so in case you one day start noticing things look a little bit smoother, well, now you know the reason why. Meta also announced its upcoming big annual event, Connect. This is where they usually announce or release new VR hardware, reveal their biggest new games coming, and in general just set the course for the next year of VR. For example, at last year's Connect, that's where they changed their name to Meta and held the big metaverse talk. And this year, it's expected we'll see a bunch of new games, maybe even get to see Bone Lab or a sneak peek at the Quest 3, and of course, it's expected that Meta will formally launch the Quest Pro, which we're about to talk about. But this event will take place on October 11th, and like I do every year, I'll be streaming this event on Twitch. It's always a massive blast to watch it with everyone, and I'll be making an announcement on that when it gets a little closer. But now we can talk about this hilarious leak. We just got to see exactly what the Quest Pro is, something that we've been talking about for more than a year now. And how it all happened is pretty funny. So this week, a hotel worker found what seemed to be a Quest Pro engineering unit in a random black bag in the hotel he was working at. At first, he just posted a few pictures of the box to a Quest 2 Facebook group, and right off the bat, a lot of people doubted the validity of these pictures, so he then posted a full unboxing video of the headset and controllers and everything, pretty much spoiling the big surprise that was supposed to come at Connect in just a month. But almost the exact same thing happened to the Quest 2 right before its launch 2 years ago, so it's not like this was anything new for Meta. And honestly, they got so much press off of this leak, I wouldn't be surprised if this was done on purpose. Like, this was better marketing right before their event than any of their advertisements ever could be, but that really doesn't matter. Let's talk about the leak and all of the details because there are a few things that people have missed. Starting off, you can see on the packaging that this is a 256GB internal storage headset, which if the past is anything to go off of, these sample units are usually the base model, which means the Quest Pro is likely to ship with a 256GB version as its smallest internal storage, which is good. The headset also has brand new to Meta pancake lenses, which is different from every other headset they've ever shipped that all previously had Fresnel lenses. This allows the headset to be significantly slimmer, as you can see. Everything else that we knew about this headset is also coming to be totally true. The controllers ditch the typical tracking ring that we're used to, as they now have cameras in the controller that handle tracking. And speaking of tracking, the Quest Pro confirmed has 5 cameras, 2 on the outside, 2 on the inside, all supposedly capable of color pass-through for way better mixed reality content, and the camera in the middle is actually a depth sensor, also suspected to make mixed reality content far better. Of course, the other things that we know about the Quest Pro is that it will have face tracking and eye tracking, and it's expected to have dual 2160 by 2160 mini LED displays with as much as 12GB of RAM, double the Quest 2's. But that's pretty much where the good ends. It should be known that the Quest Pro is aimed to be a prosumer or even industrial grade headset, and because of that, this thing is expected to cost as much as $1,200 or as much as I've seen $1,600 in some places, which is obviously significantly more expensive than the Quest 2. But with all of these features, I can't lie, I'm pretty excited for it, and hopefully if it releases when expected, which is at Connect in October, I'll be able to snag a review unit to test out. And things aren't all sunshine and rainbows. I am a little worried for Meta regarding those Pico headsets that will be announced in just a few weeks, but we'll have to see, and I'll talk about that in a second. The last bit of Meta news before we talk about this upcoming competitor to the Quest Pro and Quest 2, it seems Meta has finally realized legs are good. Andrew Bosworth in a recent AMA mentioned that they've acknowledged all of the jokes that people have made about them not having legs on their avatars, and also talked about why they don't have legs, stating that having legs in VR that don't match your own in person can be very disconcerting. They also announced that they are bringing legs into their avatar systems, just not for yourself. So when you look down, you just can't see them. everyone else can see it and you can see everyone else's legs, but you can't see your own. And this is cool, kind of what people were asking for, but not really. I don't know, I guess it's a real step forward for sure, but really just an interesting move, and I'm sure that we'll hear more about it in the upcoming Connect. So, Pico. In just a few weeks, Pico is going to host its big reveal event for what looks to be the long-awaited Pico 4 and Pico 4 Pro. Two headsets that are going to be competing directly with the Quest 2 and Quest Pro, with both headsets sporting new controllers, pancake lenses, and a slim design. Something interesting as well is that the Pro version is going to have eye tracking and face tracking similar to the new Quest, but instead also have automatically adjusting IPD, a feature that is really only on super high-end headsets. And it seems that Pico is serious about competition. They're not only launching two headsets that on paper look to be slightly better than Meta's lineup, but they're likely doing it before Meta, beating them to market, or at least beating them to the announcement. And on the base version of the Pico 4, the company said that they will be pushing for aggressive subsidies to bring the price down. Right now, Pico's announcement is set for September 27th, as shown in a teaser photo with a placeholder price of $1,500. But they stated that the true cost will be revealed at the event, something I will also be streaming for sure. Really, if these headsets do launch for cheaper than the Quest Pro and the Pico 4 launches for anywhere around the price of the Quest 2, Meta may be in trouble, as they'll likely start to lose some valuable enterprise and consumer market share. Not to mention, Pico has been bolstering up their own game catalog in preparation for this exactly. Overall, this is about to be a wild September and October with these two duking out for market share. I just can't wait to get my hands on some of these headsets. I really liked the Pico 3, and if this is as good as it looks, Quest 2 may just take a backseat for me, but we'll have to see. It's just exciting that Meta's first true competitor is only weeks away. Last week, I mentioned a pretty big problem with Steam VR analytics being completely off the rails. Errors in data made it seem like out of nowhere more than 5 million new people got into VR, then ditched it the next month. And errors like this were happening relatively often with Steam VR hardware survey numbers. And when asked, Valve had no comment. But right after last week's video, they actually fixed it. So thank you, Valve. Now, instead of the graph looking like this for the past couple of years, the readjusted and more accurate graph looks a lot more reasonable, showing a slow but steady incline above 2% of all Steam users owning a VR headset. Valve said they, quote, fixed a few issues with the collection and analysis of data. We expect to have more accurate results moving forward, end quote. And well, Hideo Kojima, legendary game developer, just announced he finished the final check of something called KJP VR, some secret VR project that will be shown at the Tokyo Game Show, and that's coming up really soon. No clue what this is, but it's Hideo Kojima, so anything is possible, and I'm excited for it. But now it's time for question of the week from Boggleboy. Would a Pico Neo 3 Link be a good first VR headset for Steam VR, or are there any other cheaper worthy contenders, or should I just wait for the Pico 4? This is actually a really good question given the current climate. Right now, the Pico Neo 3 Link is extremely cheap, actually on sale by a pretty massive amount, and this is pretty much the cheapest VR headset available right now for PC VR, and personally, I really liked using my Pico Neo 3. It's a good headset. And if you're not worried about the standalone game catalog, it may be a good snatch for PC VR usage. But the Pico 4 may be coming right around the corner, like only weeks away, so it's a hard choice. I do know that Pico was, or maybe still is, doing a deal where if you buy the Pico Neo 3 Link, you could just get 30% off of their next headset, so that may be another great option. But personally, I would just wait a couple of weeks for the event, and if a brand new headset is launched for a good price, just pick that one up, and if it isn't, then pick up the Link. But that was question of the week. Make sure to leave your own down below, and I may just answer yours next. So don't forget to check out both of those links for SCHISM and for this in-person VR community meetup in San Diego. It should be a massive blast whether you can join virtually or physically. But I wanted to thank all of my Patreon supporters, especially my Omegas, and also thank all of you for watching this video. I couldn't do any of this without all of you. Don't forget to like this video if you loved it, subscribe if you want more of this, and hit that freaking bell if you just can't live without it. Much love, Thrill out.